Guys, today, 2014 Mini Cooper. We're going to be doing a bunch of stuff to it. We got the motor mount, front plastic timing cover, lower control arm bushings, a ground strap, and just an inspection of the whole thing. Let's jump into it! Couple 8s in here. You got this clip here. Oh, it's already out. Kind of missing the middle there. It's no good. Let's see if I have another one. And then we're not going to take the whole thing off. We're just going to fold it back. Oh, something's in there. So saves us from taking the whole fender liner off. We just fold it back. A lot easier. Now we have access to this cover. We're going to remove this little cover here, insulator, whatever you want to call it. So I've got the cover out, and you can see 2 clips on the bottom, 2 clips up top. You just pull it out from the bottom. So guys, just for clarification purposes, we're replacing this plastic timing cover here. It's behind that crank pulley. This plastic one, it's leaking on the bottom. It's common on these for them to leak. And then it gets on that lower motor mount down here, which we're also going to replace. It ruins that rubber bushing. So first thing, we're going to get some light up there. We're going to take the belt off. Going to loosen that tensioner right there where the light's shining. So we'll take the tension off the belt, take the belt off, then take the crank pulley off, the harmonic balancer. So relieve the tension off the tensioner. It's a 19. Guys, we got an E12 for the crank pulley bolts. We're going to zip them out. Time to take the cover off. And I'm going to take this tensioner out. There's 2 16s on it. I heard it's a lot easier when putting the cover back in because of this bolt. You know, it's so close to the tensioner. You're kind of fighting it. It's like, why not just take out the 2 16s, make your life easier? That's what I've heard. Going to do it up. Tensioner's out. Let's remove that cover. Guys, I'm using a swivel socket. It's an E10 swivel to do this with an extension. Some of the bolts I might have to use the ratchet to get in there with, but if you're going to work on any of these German cars, especially BMWs, Minis, an E10, E8 swivel, it's the way to go. Guys, so all the bolts are off for the face of the cover. Now it's just the ones that are coming from the oil pan. You can see there's a couple of them. You got to take this little insulator cover off to get to those. Let's do it. Get to those bolts. I kind of just moved the cover out of the way. I pulled it down. You can see my extension is coming through the bottom here. No need to actually take this off. I just took out the 2 10s for that pipe. Charge pipe coming off the turbo, and took off one little clip that was holding the cover in place. I pulled it down and I'm able to get an extension in there. Easy enough. All right, guys, what I did, All the bolts are off now. And I just got a little prier here. Just lightly pry kind of around the edges so you can get under it. You don't want to pry too hard and mark up the aluminum, but easy peasy, comes off after that. Now we got to clean up the surfaces. And one of the most important things, you want to put RTV, some kind of sealant in the corners where that plastic cover sits. Let's get this cleaned up. All right, it's all cleaned up, guys. Now we're going to apply some RTV in the corners here. Just a tiny dab will do. You don't need that much. So guys, the way this works, you have your new cover. You have the special tool here. And what you do is you slide this in like so. You slide it in. Take this part off. And now what this is doing is making the front main seal facing inwards towards the engine. And this little part goes around the crankshaft, so when you slide this on, it goes, the seal stays in the right position, and it just makes a smooth transfer to the crankshaft. So this is very important. If you don't use it, you risk rolling the seal, and then you'll have an oil leak and cause all sorts of problems. You don't want to do it. Buy the special tool. I'll link it in the description. Let's put this bad boy on. Got a little oil on the seal. You want to make sure that's on the crank. Sitting on there. Oops. Nice and flush. Now we're going to push this on. I just want to start these bolts before I tighten everything. All right, guys, now I'm going to snug everything down and then look up the torque specs. After everything's tight, you can pull this out. All right, guys, new one's on there. Now it's time to clean up all that old crappy oil on there, the old residual oil. Get that all off, and we'll start assembling everything back. Tensioner's in. The belt is routed. And now I'm just going to put the crank pulley on, tighten her up, put all the covers on, and onto the motor mount. All right, guys, now we're going to do the motor mount on the bottom, the little dog bone mount. Usually you do it when you do the upper mount here. This looks like it was replaced not too long ago. It looks pretty new. They just never did that lower mount. We're gonna go to the lower mount here underneath. It is this dog bone mount, they call it. Stabilizer mount, whatever you wanna call it, but this is shot. You can see it actually, the mount, the rubber bushing mount itself is sliding out. The whole arm shifted over and it's actually hitting the oil pan. So we are going to want to, that's why we are taking care of it, because the mount is shot and it could cause further damage. So let's get into it, and we're going to spray these bolts down, even though they probably don't need it. Only that back one really. There's the end of the bolt here, but the only thing I love to use for rusted bolts, guys, is Justice Brothers JB80. I choose this over everything. It really is way better than its competitor, PB Blaster. This stuff is where it's at. We use it in the shop. I use it at home for stuff. This is where it's at. I'll never go back. This is definitely the way to go if you haven't used it, or if you haven't used it at your shop, definitely inquire about it. See if you can get some and try it out for yourself. Makes rusted things a lot easier. Why not make our lives a little easier? All right, guys, so these bolts, you got 2 here, 1, 2, and then the third one back here. They're all E14s. Zip them off. Guys, I got a swivel impact here with a little adapter to an E14. Makes it a little easier to get in there with the impact wrench. The impact gun. Just inspecting the oil pan, making sure everything's good there, which it looks to be fine. You can see the old mount was completely shot. It's totally shifted over. This thing is just totally done. It's a good thing we're replacing it. All right, that's all in there. Good to go. We still have a couple parts in the box here. Let's see what we got. Next, we got some lower control arms and the bushings, all OEM stuff, nothing but the best. And we have a ground strap. Ground strap is starting to corrode. Before it becomes a major issue, we're going to replace it just like the BMWs. Let's do it. We're starting with the control arms and the bushings. And as always, I'm going to use my trusty Justice Brothers penetrating spray. And we'll spray it onto the rusty old bolts in there. You can kind of see it. The only spot actually that has rust. Get all that soaking up. We'll hit the other bolts and start taking her apart. Okay guys, first we're going to start off with this linkage bracket that goes to the control arm for the ride height sensor. 10mm, I sprained her down. Sometimes these things could break, so just gotta take it easy, go slow. Next, we're gonna get this ball joint out. So this side is a 14. Not good. Guys, well that sucks. Bolt broke, but we will just get a new one. Luckily, I was able to get it out without having to take more stuff apart or cutting anything, but we'll just get a new one. No biggie. Get some Worth rubber spray, rubber care. Silicone free, so it ain't gonna hurt the rubber. It goes on one way. Pretty much you lube it up and then you just use a rubber mallet and slam her on there, boys. So I had another bolt laying around in the shop. Luckily it matches. We're just going to cut it to the correct size and go from there. So I did put a nut on it before. So when I cut it, it straightens the threads out, makes sure there's no lips or anything when I take the nut off. So let's cut it. Let's put the control arm in. All right, guys, everything's installed. I didn't tighten the bolts up yet for this control arm, where it bolts to the subframe, not where the bushing is, but where the subframe is, just because you're going to want to preload the suspension. You want to tighten that bushing with the weight of the car on it, so when you tighten it, it's in its normal position. If you don't do that, you'll damage that bushing prematurely. We're going to get to that at the end. When I preload it, I'll show you how to do that. Now, I'm going to bang out the other side, and this car should be ready for the alignment. And guys, don't forget about your linkage for your ride height sensor, 10mm bolt. Just tighten that up. It is self-tapping threads. There's no threads in the control arm, so just keep that in mind. So guys, the last thing we got here is this ground strap, driver's side, and there it is. You can see it's heavily corroded. That can cause all sorts of electrical issues, one being a no start, and further up it's even worse. It's too hard to see, but you can see it gets more and more green and corroded up there. Yeah, there it is. You can see it's really coming apart up there, so we're going to replace that today. Guys, this is another thing you want to replace before it actually fails, because, like I said, it could leave you stranded with a no-start condition. So, first thing we're going to do, looks like you can get to the top bolt when you take this airbox out. Maybe if this was on a lift at a shop, you'd be able to reach in there and grab it, but taking the airbox out is simple. And it looks like you can get to the nut, so let's do it. There's the top of the ground right there. Loosen that, it's a 13. We'll get on the bottom side, do that one. Easy peasy. So guys, check out the difference here. New, old. I mean, look at this. This is very close to causing some major issues for the customer. Just totally corroded. This car is 10 years old. So just keep an eye on that. At every oil service, just keep taking a look at this thing. And like I said, it's cheap enough where you would just want to do it so nothing happens, where you're going to have a no start, check engine light, limp mode, whatever would happen. This is going to cause it. So let's put the brand new one in. And guys, before I get the new one in there, I'm just going to get a little sandpaper or a little wire brush on that contact surface just to make it extra clean. You know, it looks pretty good, but why not go the extra step? Nice and clean. So guys, this is how you preload the suspension. Pretty much mimicking it like it would be on the ground in its normal position. And I'm going to tighten up this control arm bolt that goes to the frame there. So this is a little bit of a shady setup. The wood's kind of crooked, but it's still pushing up on the suspension. Like I said, mimicking it being on the ground. That's super important. All right, guys, that'll do it for this video. If you guys have any questions, let me know. Put them in the comments. If you guys want to see anything else on these cars, let me know. More videos like this coming soon. I'll see you on the next one. Don't forget to like and subscribe.